Welcome back. Equations day 2. So sometimes our equations are going to start getting more and more complicated, and sometimes I do like that line so it's really clear the two different sides we have for the equation. Now we're going to look at one side at a time and ask ourselves, can we combine like terms? So I'm going to zoom in and completely ignore that other side. I'm just going to look at the left side. I see here I have a -6 and a -3 as just good old regular numbers on the same side already. I know those are like terms. I don't have another r on that left side. So the r is going to come on down, and I'll go ahead and do -6 minus 3. So I'll do my vertical number line. I start down at -6 and I go down 1, 2, 3, and I end up at -9. So that will combine down to -9. And now I'll go and look at the right side separately. So you look at each side one at a time. Can you combine like terms on the left? Now, can we combine like terms on the right side? I see here, I see a 4r and a -r. I know those are like terms because they have the same letter, the same variable. Then I see two regular numbers, and I know regular numbers are also like terms. So here's just 4r minus r. If you ever see this, if you don't see a number with the variable, we assume there's a hidden 1 there. So that's like 4r minus 1r to get 3r. And then that's going to be 4 minus 5. So I'm going to come over to my vertical number line. 1, 2, 3. So I start at +4 and I'm going down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one more to get me to -1. So I've successfully combined like terms on both sides. Now I can come and continue trying to solve. I notice here that the variables are not on the same side right now. So we got to get those to the same side. It does not matter if you move the 3r or the r. I'm going to move the regular r. And I see that it's positive, so I'm going to subtract it from both sides to make sure it goes away. R minus r is 0. That -9 comes on down. Don't forget the negative. Some students forget that negative that goes with the 9. If you don't see a number with the variable, we assume it's a 1. 3r minus 1r is 2r. The -1 comes on down. Now this looks a lot like yesterday. I'm solving for r still. I need to get rid of the 2 and the -1. I'm going to start with the -1. The opposite will be adding 1. -9 plus 1. If I start at -9 and I go up 1, I end up at -8. Equals 2r. 2r is multiplication, so the opposite will be division. When you're dividing, if one number is negative, your answer is negative. All right, let's try a problem that looks like this now. So the first thing I notice is that I see some parentheses and I see a number right outside. So I know I need to start by cleaning up that distribution. Before I do any like terms, before I do any solving, before I do anything else, if you see parentheses and a number out front, we're gonna go ahead and clean up that distribution. Now remember, that negative goes with the 6. So this is like -6 times -2, which is going to come out to a +12. A -6 times a +7n will be -42n. I haven't touched this -2, so it comes on down. And we haven't done anything with our equals -340. We always start with our distribution. Now, we're going to zoom in and see, are there any like terms to combine? I see here, I have two items, two terms within, so I know I can combine them. Since they're on the same side, I don't do any inverse operations. -2 minus 42 is -44n. Then I haven't touched that +12. And I haven't touched equals -340 yet. Now this is starting to look a little more similar to what we've been doing in class. Still getting rid of n. I have a close number and a far away number. We'll start with the far away number. The opposite of adding 12 is subtracting 12. Haven't touched -40 in that step. -340 minus 12. When you subtract negatives, guys, it's like adding them to be a bigger negative number. And now we're left with one more step. If there's nothing in between the number and the letter, this is multiplication, so the opposite is division. And if this number is -44, don't forget the negative when you're dividing on both sides.